to Eric Dyer at the heart of the three-man defence, and he will play out towards Jan Vertonghen. So a slight change in the formation from that we were expecting, Clive Allen, with Spurs having the majority possession in the early stages, but playing with Foyt, Dyer and Vertonghen as a back three in this first half.
Yeah, Trippier and Kyle Walker-Peters as the wing backs. I think a slight surprise, a system that Spurs have used before, but Dyer at the heart of that defence. I think there's a lot of physicality in this Spurs side with Wanyama and Dembele in that central midfield area, and then obviously Llorente and Kane powerful up front.
Well, they played a back four in each of the last 12 games, and Mauricio Pochettino has always had the ability and the resources at his disposal to play with a three or with a four. The last time they played with a three, the league defeat at Leicester back before Christmas. It's Newport that had possession with a throw taken by the former Welsh international David Pipe down the right-hand touchline for Newport. Out of play for another throw, which will be picked up about 15 yards outside the penalty area, and it's Toza who will go out to take it. Now he has a formidable long throw. Set pieces clearly are going to be one of the ways in which Newport believe they might be able to exploit Spurs, and this will be the first opportunity to launch one of these howitzer throws inside the penalty area. It's a real long one headed down, all about the second ball, which is won by Walker-Peters, who clears for Tottenham towards Harry Kane. 29 goals in his 29 Spurs games this season. He holds it up in the midfield, but his crossfield ball is cut out by Bennett, and then it'll be played forward down the left-hand side by Dan Butler, whose long left-footed clearance from the former Portsmouth trainee will be brought down on that left-hand side by Newport, but the free kick has been given against him, and it's a free kick which will be taken by Spurs level with the edge of their own penalty area. It's Newport County 0, Tottenham 0 in the FA Cup fourth round on TalkSport.
Well, there's an early indication to deploy the long throw into the near post area for Nublet, and then the ball down the channel from Butler, trying to turn that Spurs defence round, especially trying to play in behind those wing backs who are slightly advanced of the back three.
Spurs will bring it forward now with Dyer. Out towards Kyle Walker-Peters over on the left-hand touchline, immediately put under pressure by Pipe. And as it's played for, Labadie has done well. He's got Ammon letting the ball run across him. It's Newball. What a chance. He's put it way over the bar. But he was unmarked inside the penalty area. 12 yards from goal. He had time. It ran across the area smoothly. All he had to do was hit the target. He surely would have scored. Glorious opportunity spurned by Newport County.
Well, that was just a chance that you could not believe you was going to be created at this moment in the game. Dyer makes a mistake. He's just sloppy on the edge of the box. He's robbed of the ball. It's rolled square, and Nublet, he just has to hit the target. In the end, he lashes at it high over the crossbar, doesn't even trouble Vorm in that Spurs goal. What a big opportunity passed up so early in the game.
Now a little stumble by Ben White, the young centre-half on loan from Brighton. He recovered really well as it looked as though he's going to trip over the ball. Dan Butler can bring it forward, and again the ball chipped over the top will try and draw the Spurs defenders out of position. Newport fans everywhere on their feet as the Exiles are on the front foot. Towards the edge of the penalty area, it's chipped inside the box. Decent delivery, which will be half cleared. Out as far as Robbie Wilmot on the Newport right. They started so brightly. Little turn and a delivery inside the penalty area is volleyed away by Vertonghen. Tottenham know they're in a game here at 0-0 on TalkSport. Now the ball is played in again by Wilmot, but easily claimed on the corner of the 6-yard box by Michel Vorm. Spurs just need to calm things down here because they're up against the Newport side in decent form with only one defeat in their last 12 games, playing with a real swagger and a confidence in the early stages, buoyed by that early opportunity created.
Jim, Spurs need to change up 2 or even 3 gears. If they thought it was going to be a stroll, they need to change quickly, because at the moment it's Newport with intensity, with a real purpose about the way they're playing. They're quicker, faster, and they're first to the ball.
Butler's ball forward, straight into the hands of Michel Vorm. Spurs won all 4 meetings against the previous incarnation of Newport County in successive seasons in the Cup in the late 50s and early 60s. couple in the league as well. Labadie with an effort from distance after Wanyama had been caught in possession. It was an easy one for Vorm. He had plenty of time to judge the flight of the 30-yard effort.
A classic example, Wanyama taking one touch too many, robbed by Labadie, then he's 30 yards out, really strikes the ball well, but it is straight at Vorm. But at the moment, Spurs just too slow, taking too long on the ball, being dispossessed too easily.
Tottenham with an opportunity to bring it forward here with Walker-Peters, laying it off for Dembele in the midfield. Hasn't really had too much of a chance to shine in these early stages. Now Victor Wanyama will pick it up. Trippier in an advanced position on the Tottenham right wants the ball. It's gone back instead towards Juan Foyt, who still hasn't had his Premier League debut after his big money move from Estudiantes in Argentina. Now the switch of play down towards Trippier has just drifted out of play over the line. In fact, he's flagged offside. And it's a free kick which will be taken by Newport in their left back position, and the former Portsmouth man Dan Butler is just retracing his steps. Rugby marking's very prevalent on the field here. Got a game coming up, the Dragons, over the next 48 hours or so, and the markings are there just outside the penalty area and down this touchline as well. And Joe Day asking for clarification where this free kick is going to have to be taken from. Seemingly ignored the advice that he was given by the assistant referee Gary Bezic.
Well, Trippier certainly wasn't 5 yards infield. His feet were on the touchline, but the goalkeeper moved it inside. Now he's going to pump that ball forward.
High ball which is headed away by Foyt on the edge of his own penalty area. Second ball won by Labadie, turned forward for Tongan, and then Walker-Peters with slightly miscued aerial clearances. Wanyama is in there, brought down by Labadie, trying to provide a little bit of bite in the midfield for Newport. Out it goes to the left for Walker-Peters to bring it forward, and he's won a throw given by referee Roger East. Walker-Peters, who made his Premier League debut on the opening day of the season. It's only his 6th senior game for Tottenham today. And it's been a difficult one for them in the early stages. Newport County have done everything that could have been asked of them so far other than score. Walker-Peters has won a free kick. They've already had a glorious opportunity with Frank Noble. Noble, former Premier League player. He had 10 appearances in the elite for West Ham at the start of his career. He's only 26. Played for 15 different clubs in his career, Frank Noble. But he's missed the clearest opportunity for either side so far. He's involved here. Looked like there was a handball by Dembele. Referee couldn't possibly have seen that. Dembele got away with it. Can understand why the Newport fans were protesting. Then as the ball is played forward, it's bounced off the chest of Llorente, whose attempt to trap it wasn't great. Pipe, the bald-headed right back, fires it forward down the line, and it's put out by a nervous-looking Vertonghen for a throw which will be taken by Tozer on the Newport County right. We've played 8 minutes on TalkSport. Newport 0, Tottenham 0. This has the makings of being a classic FA Cup tie.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. Vertonghen on 3 occasions now. He's just been uncertain. He's not been committed to stepping forward, playing the ball, playing it first time, just dealing with the pressure that he's under.
Now the ball is played in, and Bennett has hooked it across the face of goal and wide. It was a long throw from Tozer, flicked on at the near post, and Scott Bennett made his way forward and just got his right foot underneath it and dragged it. It was a very difficult chance across the face of Vorm's goal and wide, but all the chances at the moment are happening away to our left-hand side. It's the Exiles, 8th in League 2 at the start of the weekend, down to 9th after Swindon's come from behind victory this afternoon. But it's they who are asking the pertinent questions up to this point. Ball just bouncing off Harry Kane, Foyt, briskly, Dyer in the heart of that 3-man Spurs back line. Now it goes from him to Jan Vertonghen. And Vertonghen will bring it forward about 15 yards outside his penalty area before going back for Eric Dyer again, who controls it in the D, brings it out of the D and plays it in towards Dembele. And now he will try and find a way through past Tozer in the midfield, and he's done well to play it forward. Eventually cleared by Dimitriou. It'll bounce down for Noble on the Newport left. Butler again, just looking for a cushioned, teased ball over the top. This time it's Zaman that chases it, and Trippier, just glad to get it off the island and out of harm's way, will fire it long. Actually, it bounced and then curved back in. Dimitriou heads it away from Kane. It's fielded by the Newport manager, Mike Flynn, on this near touchline, out of play for a throw which will be taken by Spurs.
Jim, there's nothing pretty about it, the way that Newport have gone about this game, but it certainly is effective. And all of a sudden, they're turning Spurs round as a defence. They're hurrying them, they're putting them under pressure, and at their moment, they're finding it difficult to cope with. Here is Demetriou. He clears it left-footed. It's another ball forward, trying to turn Foyt and be chased by Ammon. Foyt's brought it under control, and the young Argentine is able to turn on the edge of his box, lay it out towards Trippier. Trippier looking long, finds Llorente, who controls it neatly. Demetriou stumbles, and Llorente is just able to guide it back under no pressure, and Wanyama ends up with the ball in the midfield for Spurs. Now Vertonghen will be able to bring it forward. Vertonghen towards Sissoko, turned neatly by Kane. He's got Llorente ahead of him. That's the pass that he plays. His control neat on the edge of the penalty area. Can't get into a shooting position, and then Kane leaning back as it's rolled into his path, gets his right foot underneath it and skies it over the bar. Yeah, going for precision, Harry Kane. He's just on the edge of the D as it's rolled back by Llorente. He's leaning back, he opens up, he's trying to just wind that ball into the far corner, gets it horribly wrong, strikes it underneath the ball. Never going to trouble Day in the Newport County goal. We're bringing you more live football than anyone else this season on TalkSport and TalkSport 2, with exclusive coverage of the Premier League and the EFL, as well as the Champions League, Europa League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, La Liga, and the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Over on TalkSport 2 right now, the full-time phoning with Dan Windle and Chris Perry. Here, though, you're listening to Matchday Live on FA Cup weekend with Clive Allen alongside me, Jim Proudfoot, here on TalkSport. Don't forget, as soon as this game finishes, we're off to Anfield for Liverpool against West Bromwich Albion, the 4th live FA Cup tie on the TalkSport network over the course of the weekend so far. Ball be played down on the Newport left to Butler. Butler to Demetriou. Demetriou to Pipe. Invited forward down the right-hand touchline, the former Bristol Rovers player. High ball launched by him, headed down by Vertonghen. Bennett will pick it up, try his luck. Just took a little bobble and maybe a slight deflection on its way through. Vorm is able to pick it up and just bowl it from the edge of the 6-yard box out of the left-hand side of the penalty area, where Spurs will be able to build from the back again. But yeah, Newport will be delighted. As I say, apart from Newport's chance going in, this couldn't have gone any better for them so far. No, absolutely perfect start. I'm sure Michael Flynn will be absolutely delighted with the way, the intent of his team. Whatever he said to them going out, they've followed that to the letter. They've put Spurs under pressure. Spurs, for me, surprisingly, keep trying to play out from the back with the 3 central defenders. And all of a sudden, they're just inviting that pressure. Ball bobbles, they're closed down, and they're disrupted very, very high up the pitch, taking chances. Well, this is the first match that Newport County, of course it was the old incarnation of the club, have had at home to top flight opposition since 1986, when Everton went to Somerton Park, just across town from here, and won 5-1 in a League Cup tie. Well, the early signs are that this one's going to be much, much closer. Although the disparity in wages, of course, these days will be much, much greater. Spurs able to bring it forward here. Right-footed effort, might go out of play for a corner. It's just taken a deflection. The shot from Sissoko, well mopped up by Demetriou to make sure that it's a throw rather than a corner. A throw which will be taken on the Tottenham right-hand side by Kieran Trippier. Other than the Harry Kane effort, which ballooned over the bar, Spurs yet to have a meaningful attempt. Trippier wins another throw right in front of us, just flicking it away and out off Bennett. Trippier retrieves the ball from in front of the hoardings on this near touchline, the Tottenham right. Kane makes his way over towards the right-hand side of the penalty area. Ball thrown into his feet. Dan Butler is facing him most unwell to win it back, and then Labadie will be able to knock it away on the turn. Mopped up by Dyer. 4 from him to Foyt. Back first time for Vertonghen. And Vertonghen inside the centre circle just lays it down towards Juan Foyt again. His ball is overhit for Dembele's run. Butler had him marshalled anyway, and it goes out of play for a goal kick, which will be taken by Joe Day away to our right-hand side. Newport County 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0 on TalkSport. And Jim, on a surface like this, and there's no excuse for the way Tottenham are playing, when you roll the ball slowly, it's going to bobble, it's going to bounce. It invites the opposition to come and close you down, to press you very quickly. And Spurs have played too many short passes in their own half, which has invited that pressure. Spurs themselves in decent form, of course, unbeaten in 7, and like Newport, 1 defeat in 12 games in all competitions. Newport's home form excellent, only beaten here by Colchester and Barnet in the league games so far. And again, it's Noble who's in there pressing from the front.
It's a baptism of fire for Foyt, who hasn't got too many miles on the clock. I know he's had an £8 million transfer in his career, but this is only the 12th game that he's played in his career at first team level. I think he'll have found it quite a steep learning curve so far, and on that occasion his control was awkward, judged to have hit his chest rather than his arm as he tried to turn it back for Vorm, who bowls it straight back out to him. Foyt will now just roll it down the right-hand touchline to the England international fullback here, and Trippier launched forward, held up by Llorente, adept with his back to the direction of play. Kane spreads it wide for Walker-Peters, who doesn't need a second invitation to make ground inside Newport territory. Right-footed ball curved in by him. Kane had peeled away, but Dimitriou heads it away from the edge of the 6-yard box. Back it comes again from Dembele to Vertonghen. Every outfield player for Spurs inside Newport territory, probably for the first time. Trippier chipping it with the outside of his right boot. Headed away well by Dimitriou, and out of play for a throw which will be taken on the Tottenham right-hand side. 0-0.
They've started really well, the two centre-halves, White and Dimitriou, because what they've done when Spurs have tried to play into the front two, adopted the two strikers with Llorente, with Kane, they've got in challenges very, very early. Got tight, showed those two strikers real respect, leading from the back.
Now Bennett has it, and he will play it out towards the veteran in this Newport side, David Pipe, at the age of 34. Capped by his country some 15 years ago, and not since. Back from him to Dimitriou. It's an interesting centre-half partnership, Dimitriou and White, of which more in a moment. Dimitriou's just angled it over the top, but the offside flag is up against Podrick Amond. It's a free kick which will be taken by Spurs. Two centre-halves, Ben White, just 20, player on loan from Brighton, and alongside him Mickey Dimitriou, who started in non-league football with his hometown club Worthing and played in the National League with the likes of Eastbourne and Kidderminster, before coming relatively late into league football. He's had an outstanding start to this game, as have everybody in gold and black. Ammon tries to play the ball inside the penalty area. Vertonghen blocked it. It's half cleared. Headed back forward by Pipe, looking for Bennett. Spurs again can knock it away. Llorente tries to hold it up. There's Dimitriou, who was in there with a block challenge, and it got Wilmot going for a moment down the Newport right. He goes out for a throw, which again Tozer will come across to take to launch inside that congested Spurs penalty area at 0-0.
And Jim, what you've got now is Spurs playing question one another. That ball went forward to Llorente. He was dispossessed. Vertonghen's not happy with him. He's not holding it up. It comes back and puts the pressure back on that Spurs defence. Long throw coming in.
Ben Tozer, 300th game of his career, launches it towards the edge of the penalty area, flicked on by Dimitriou. That is a tactic that is causing Spurs problems. Again, they've survived, and on the counter-attack here, they have an opportunity to bring it forward. Good interplay between Sissoko and Trippier. Sissoko then drives it towards the far side of the area. Butler, who came across to cover the run of Llorente, did well, just turned away from it as it came across so that he didn't get a touch with his chest, and it's drifted over the line away from Llorente and out for a goal kick in front of the Spurs fans, which will be taken by Newport County's Joe Day. Nothing between them so far. If anything, Newport will be able to lay claim to the fact that despite having the minority of possession, they've been the better team. It's 0-0.
And certainly had the best chance, and that fell to Nublo, who should have hit the target when they put pressure on, turned that Spurs defence around, and from the penalty spot he blazed high and wide. The threat is that long throw goes in, the quick counter-attack, pace and power from Spurs, but the final pass cross into the box was a poor one.
It's a day that's already seen West Ham eliminated at Wigan, Swansea held at Notts County, another Premier League side, Huddersfield, held at home by Birmingham. League Two's Coventry, a point ahead of Newport in the table, are through. One at Milton Keynes there in the 5th round draw. And Newport, believing that they can join them, have a free kick for a foul by Kane on Labadie.
Well, it's all going their way, Jim, isn't it? It comes up to Harry Kane, he chests it, it pops up off his chest, he can't get the ball down, it's scrappy, there's lots of physical contact, it's messy, exactly what Newport County want.
Mickey Dimitriou with the free kick. Just ping forward again towards the edge of the penalty area. A lot of percentage football being played by Newport, which is very much an observation and not a criticism. Cleared by Trippier, down to Butler. Butler plays it forth, finds Nubel again on the left-hand touchline. It's almost level with the Spurs penalty area. He's laid it back for Butler. Lovely turn by Butler to get away from Dembele. Just lost possession. Those 4 white shirts converged on him, and Wanyama will be able to bring it forward. Kane's in an offside position, so Llorente had to hold it up and go to his right for Sissoko. Long crossfield ball from him, brought down neatly by Walker-Peters into the feet of Wanyama. Back to Vertonghen on halfway. Spurs beginning to string the passes together, but still playing a little bit too short and intricately for Clive's liking on this surface, and as Trippier plays it over the top, it's easy for Joe Day to come outside his 6-yard box and claim. It's 0-0 between Newport County and Tottenham Hotspur, and here are the thoughts of the 2-time FA Cup finalist Clive Allen.
Well, you'd have to say that certainly it's effective. I know sometimes you're saying it's a percentage game that Newport County are playing, but on this surface and the pressure that they're putting Spurs under, that they're not accustomed to, there's paying dividends for the home side.
If Michael Flynn sent out a side to out-football Spurs to go through to the 5th round, that would be insanity. So they're doing it exactly the right way. It's very effective what they're doing. Here's Newport. 10 yards from the dead ball line, twisting, turning, getting the better of Dyer. Got the cross in, it was blocked by Trippier. And then as the ball is eventually played in by Newell, it takes a deflection and will be picked up away to our left-hand side. I can say he's got a big grin on his face, but there's so much excitement amongst the fans in the crowd. One fella in front of us just completely stacked it as he tried, bobbing up and down, tried to sit back down to his seat, which he hadn't realised had popped back up. A moment of mirth and levity for all of those around him, but he's okay. 0-0. Day has the ball at the back in sky blue for Newport. Goalkeeper's whacked it forward long. Oh, Newell's done well, just flicked it over Trippier's head, forcing Dyer to play it. Not facing the way that he was playing there, Eric Dyer. He hooked it over his shoulder and out for a throw.
But because of that pressure, Jim, he just has to hook it away. He can't take a chance. In the end, it's not pretty, but it was exactly what was needed, because Newell is pushing Dyer back into his own box, has to hook it away and concede the throw-in.
Back for Butler. Newell ends up on the deck. No foul. Foyt getting it away. Bennett is in there. Frenetic midfield battle. Laid back by him to Butler, who chips it over the top. Hammond onside, will be able to control it left-hand side of the penalty area. Lays it back for Frank Newell. Can he deliver? He's got 3 targets to try and hit. In the end, he hit Trippier, and it will be cleared down the right-hand side by Sissoko. Brought back under control by the captain, Labadie, in the midfield. The much-travelled one-time West Bromwich Albion player. Labadie in there battling, and he's won the free kick for a little bit of a shove. It was Wanyama and Trippier that came in and converged on him. I think it was the Kenyan whose challenge was the one that was deemed the foul. And it's a free kick which will be taken by Newport about 6 yards from the dead ball line and 7 or 8 yards in from the left-hand touchline. This is another really presentable opportunity from a set piece. They've got 6 forward inside the penalty area to attack this. Spurs have got everybody back. Newell is the closest Newport player towards the near post. Demetriou is forward. Tozer lurking unmarked on the edge of the penalty area. Now makes a run round the back. It's delivered in deep. Ends up somehow in the hands of Michel Vorm. But if Newell making a run across the near post had made any contact on that, it could have been 1-0 to the Exiles. And
Sissoko was very close to getting a slightest of touches, which would have taken it away from Vorm. In the end, it ends up in Vorm's arms, in his chest, but a really good delivery. Someone just has to be throwing themselves to get some sort of contact to that brilliantly distributed free kick.
Harry Kane's offside. Newport have only made it through to round 5 once in their history. The old club got there back in 1949. They won at Leeds that year as well. Also won at top flight Huddersfield before losing to Portsmouth, who got to the final that year. That's what, some 69 years ago. This is the first 4th round tie that Newport have played since 1979, when they lost to Colchester in a replay. They've only ever won once at this stage of the competition in 6 previous 4th round ties. They have a free kick here. They will feel they deserve the lead. Day launches it long. Just outside the penalty area, Foyt knocks it away. Brought down by Labadie to Scott Bennett. Bennett laying it back inside the centre circle for White. From him to Pipe, the right back, and then played forward down the line for Robbie Wilmot. who's probably been less involved than most of the other Newport players in these early stages. Certainly a lot of the attacking play from the Exiles has tended to gravitate down the left flank, and Newball. Ball is headed away by Vertonghen, and then on by Walker-Peters, and out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the Newport right midway inside the Tottenham half. It's Newport County 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0, with Liverpool against West Brom to come from 7:45 here on TalkSport.
Yeah, Jim, we have got a proper FA Cup tie on our hands, and the home side have started in great style, the way they've gone about the game. Unsettled Spurs, the Premier League team who just cannot get into their stride at this point of the game.
Long throw again from Tozer, one-time Newcastle player, headed away by Wanyama. The referee had seen a push, and it's a free kick which is going to be taken by Spurs on the edge of their box. So you've been in this position. I know you don't mind me talking about it. You've already referred to Tottenham's defeat at Port Vale back in 1988. And we were talking before we came on air, Clive. You said that that day there was a sense you just anticipated that when things weren't really going well in the early stages of the game, that your name could be the one that was making the headlines for the wrong reasons. What do you do when you're in that position? There might be some of the more inexperienced Spurs players who are thinking that right now. What do you do to play your way out of that mindset?
Well, you have to, certainly, you have to make sure your concentration, you don't take any chances, you play simple, you play effectively, and sometimes it's not the game that you're playing week in, week out in your league games, and this is a situation, some of these players would have been here before, they will be able to cope with it, but you've got to make sure that you don't encourage the opposition to keep doing what they're doing. And Spurs are trying to keep possession at the moment, just trying to take the sting out of what Newport have had to offer so far.
Sissoko, back for Walker-Peters, level with the edge of the Newport penalty area. Walker-Peters with an effort that was blocked by Wilmot, and now Vertonghen will pick it up and lay it back out towards that touchline where Sissoko is still waiting for Spurs. Back from him to Foyt, square to his left-hand side for Vertonghen. Vertonghen rolling it forward into the feet of Llorente, and then back out to the left-hand touchline once more for Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters to Sissoko. Trippier, if they can get the ball across, is in a decent position on the right-hand side of the Spurs penalty area. Llorente again with his back to the direction of play, was trying to hold it up and get the better of Pike, but couldn't do so. Newport clear. Dyer slightly miscues a half-volley clearance of his own back on the halfway line. It'll be brought down eventually by Sissoko. Barrel-chested player in the heart of the Tottenham midfield. 0-0 the scoreline. Newport missing the one really clear-cut opportunity so far. Frank Newball should have scored about 4 minutes into the contest, but it remains goalless. Ball is in the midfield now with Foyt, who will try and turn and get it away from Newball. Butler in strongly. Wanyama's in there and wins it back straight away, and goes back for Dembele. From him to Dyer, and then forward again through the midfield for Victor Wanyama. But they're making heavy weather of this Tottenham. Newport doing everything that Mike Flynn could expect of them up to this point, with 28 minutes gone at 0-0. Llorente, nice turn. Kane wants the ball to be played in early, waiting for his 30th goal of the season. Laid back instead towards Dembele in a shooting position maybe. He's got Walker-Peters in support. That's the pass he plays. Corner of the penalty area. Kane and Llorente both waiting. Tries to work the angle and get a shot in. He can't. It's deflected, and Butler will clear it. On the end of that is Vertonghen, hooked back over the top by Walker-Peters just to stop Labadie doing anything, and it ends up in the hands of Day. Defensively, Newport have not been troubled so far. Here are the latest odds from Betfair, Matchday Live's official betting partner on TalkSport. £25 pre-match bet on the draw can now be cashed out for £33. The latest odds, Newport into 15-1, Spurs 2-9, the draw 9-2. You can cash out on single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. Available on selected markets and conditions apply. Full terms at betfair.com. 18+. Gamble aware. Newport bring it forward again with Ammon on the left-hand side, and he's unlucky that he can't hold it up. Goes out for a throw, which will be taken on Spurs right by Kieran Trippier. A very intriguing opening half hour, 0-0.
Oh, it's been fantastic, it really has. It's been a Premier League side who are in good form, who can't get their game together, and that's been because of the ethic, the worth ethic of the Newport County side. Certainly they've kept their shape, they've worked tirelessly, they've unsettled the superstars of Spurs.
Free kick goes Newport's way. Labadie winning it in the midfield. Roger East, the Wiltshire-based ref, just indicates to Kane where the free kick has got to be taken from. Kane acting as the ball boy, drops the ball at the referee's feet and now trots back to the edge of his own D as Robbie Wilmot has the opportunity to swing one in here for the Exiles. It's a great delivery as well, headed away on the edge of the box. A left-footed volley from White goes well wide. No way close to supplying with just the second goal of his career, and out for a goal kick which will be taken by Vaughan. And then as the ball is played for, this pet hate of mine didn't go outside the penalty area. So it will be a retake. I think that should be an indirect free kick.
I agree with you, because certainly Vertonghen just stepped back inside, didn't go out the box. Linesman, assistant on that side was right on top of it, and Spurs then are given the goal kick again and just takes the pressure off, just takes a little bit of time and just takes something out of the game.
Here's Dyer. Dyer to Foyt. Foyt, 15 inside his own half. Forward towards Dembele, who's then put under pressure in the midfield by Tozer. He's turned him really neatly. Llorente just drops short and finds Sissoko as he turns it forward on the turn in towards Harry Kane. Well, that was as close as Spurs have come. And I think Day might just have got a hand of that to flick it away. It's gone out of play for a corner, which is the first corner of the game on this near touchline. Should be taken by Kieran Trippier. But that was the first time that Spurs were really able to turn the Newport back line. And that's what they have to do, and it's a forward run from Sissoko. Powerful breaking into the box, cuts it back. Harry Kane's shot was turned onto the post by Day. Trippier takes it. Flicked on by Dyer, then flicked on by Llorente. Volleyed clear by the tall Tozer. Out towards Walker-Peters. Dembele has it. Dembele turning, trying to work the angle, trying to get away from Robbie Wilmot. Finds Walker-Peters, scores a sliding challenge which didn't leave anything to the imagination from Labadie, and he gets a yellow card. Does tend to collect them. That's 10 yellows and a red for Jos Labadie this season. As I say, he is the midfield enforcer really for Newport County. Yeah, it was late, Jim, and certainly it was high, and Harry Kane was lucky that his left leg was above the ground because he clattered into that left leg. If he has foot fixed in the ground, that could have been a really serious injury for him, but he's ridden the challenge and now he's picked himself up and he's going to take this on. He's about 30 yards out, the free kick's been awarded and Harry Kane stands alone over it. He's going to test Dave from even this range. So the wall is about 3 yards outside the penalty area. 5 strong, 2 Spurs players on the end of that wall. Kane addresses it right foot, it's over the bar. Day had it covered anyway. Flying save for the cameras after the ball had gone. But it was over his bar by about 2-3 feet. And out for a goal kick, which will be taken away to our right-hand side. Well, with the transfer window coming to a close this Wednesday, Talk Radio have made an additional signing to their roster with legendary TV and radio broadcaster Eamon Holmes taking over 4 till 7 drive time slot from Monday. And Julia Hartley-Brewer's moved to breakfast, bringing you the biggest stories of the day as you wake up from 6:30 a.m. You can tune into Talk Radio on DAB, online via talkradio.co.uk and via the iOS and Android apps. In the here and now in South Wales, on the banks of the Usk, it's 0-0. Newport have been excellent. Spurs haven't. Here's Kane, laying it back through the midfield. Turn is a neat one from Dembele. Beginning to find their feet now, Spurs, but it's been a slow burner for them. Here's Trippier. Trippier to Kane. Kane towards the edge of the D. Newport players converging on him all the time. 3 or 4 of them there. He's managed to smuggle the ball to Llorente. Back it goes from him to Wanyama. And now out towards the left-hand touchline for Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters on the left-hand side of the box, right-footed. Clipped cross from him. Kane tries to head it on, or back for Dembele on the edge of the penalty area, knocked away. And Spurs will make sure that it doesn't go back into their own half. Or at least when it does, it's a control pass from Wanyama that goes back for Vertonghen. Now to Foyt, whose white shirt has a big muddy patch down its left breast. Then as it's played forward towards Llorente, Labadie is in there to cut it out. Finds his former Torquay teammate Butler. Back it goes from him to Bennett. Bennett back to the goalkeeper Day, who will clear, left-footed, a long clearance just holds up on the breeze, which is still prevalent here and is very much in Tottenham's favour in this first half. It's blown from left to right as we look at it. Ball goes out to the Newport right-hand side for Wilmot. Back from him to Pipe, chipped over the top before it's headed after. One bounce by Dyer, out to the left boot of Vertonghen, who flashes it forward. One back by Tozer, chested down by Wanyama, whose touch was a poor one, and all of a sudden Newport are on the front foot again. Nouble waits on the edge of the penalty area. Hammond is there as well, but when it's played for Robbie Wilmot, he's offside, and another promising move breaks down. It's 0-0 on TalkSport at Rodney Parade.
Yeah, fascinating stage of the game that Spurs are just sort of, as you say, easing their way into this game. Their passing has been sharper, they've dealt with the ball quicker, and all of a sudden that early enthusiasm that Newport had is just starting to wane a little bit. They can't quite get as close to the Spurs players, and they're now starting to manipulate the ball.
Wanyama has got Walker-Peters over on the left-hand side. He actually played a slightly straighter ball down the inside left channel for Sissoko. There was a push from him, and it's a free kick which will be taken on the edge of the penalty area. They then kick the ball away, Sissoko, needlessly, long after the free kick had been given. It'll be spoken to by the referee. What should be really a mandatory yellow card.
Yeah, he's a bit fortunate there because he pushed the player over, then the ball's rolling towards the byline. He toes it away, just, I think, in anger more than anything, and frustration. But Roger Rees is very lenient.
Will be a free kick which will be taken by Joe Day, just outside the penalty area. Player who's in his 4th season now with the Exiles, 10 clean sheets to his name this season. Clears long, Ammon goes up for it, battle with Foyt, neither of them the tallest. The ball will be bouncing through the midfield, brought under control then by White, who goes out to Pipe. Pipe to Wilmot on the Newport right. Back from him to Tozer. Tozer forced back by Spurs pressure to play inside his own half for White, who clears down the touchline. Then it'll be brought very neatly under control over on that far side by Labadie. Low ball in from him. Sliding in was Dyer, not taking any chances, and he's put it over the line for a throw. Spurs have a problem, though, with Walker-Peters down injured over on that far touchline. Part of our commentary team today, TalkSport reporter Lawrence Moore. And Lawrence, what have you made of the people watching you've been doing in the opening 35 minutes or so?
Yeah, well, we've been looking at the sideline, and Mickey Flynn is looking really relaxed, the Newport manager, hands in pockets, just standing there on the sidelines, making sure his side don't sit too deep, though. He's making sure they always get up and press Spurs further up the pitch. Mauricio Pochettino, though, he's been spending a lot of his time in the dugout, sat there kind of nonchalantly watching, but now prowling the touchline, arms crossed. I'll tell you what, this atmosphere reminds me of the last game of the season, but I'll turn back because the throw-in's coming in.
Long one in from Tozer, which is headed away towards the edge of the penalty area. Wilmot clipping it in, right-footed. Hammond is there at the far post and has scored. It's a monumental goal for Newport County. Padraig Hammond has put the side 8th in League 2 ahead. Spurs have beaten Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund this season. It is not a significantly weakened side that have been fielded. They've taken the big scalps, but today could be a big scalp themselves as they trail Newport County by a goal to 0.
Well, Jim, this place has gone crazy, and Spurs can't say they hadn't been warned. Long throw comes in, headed back to the edge of the box. Wilmot's totally unmarked, but what he does, he just clips an inviting cross to the back post, and Hammond's there to rise, powers it in inside that far post. Lovely cross, great header. They deserve the lead.
11th goal of the season for the Irishman, who signed from Hartlepool at the start of the campaign. Just about the biggest he has ever scored. It's a massive goal in Newport's history. It gives them a tangible foundation now. Can they hold on? Could have been ahead very early when Frank Nouble missed in front of goal. Now they have the advantage. The marking are right at the back. Hammond's not the tallest. He must only be about 5'10", I suppose, 5'11", but he snuck in, got the better of Foyt, got ahead of Trippier, and just glanced the header like every predatory striker into the bottom left-hand corner of the net. Kind of finish on which he's built his reputation. Had a prolific season in non-league football with Grimsby a few years back. He's played in the Portuguese top flight as well. Now he scored what could prove to be one of the most famous goals in Newport County's history. in both incarnations of the club. And they're on the front foot again here. The high ball that is whipped in too deep for Labadie from Wilmot's delivery, and it goes out of play for a goal kick away to the left-hand side, and Wilmot is down hurt. Spurs told not to play the goal kick too early, because Robbie Wilmot, in hoisting that ball inside the penalty area, has picked up a knock and is sitting over towards the right-hand touchline with the referee going over to see the severity of the problem. He's calling the Newport medical staff over. But listen to the atmosphere around Rodney Parade. Remember, this club went out of business in 1989, started again in the Hellenic League in the early 90s. Now they lead Tottenham Hotspur by a goal to nil.
Jim only stayed in the Football League in the last game of last season, and really it's an incredible story. And the way that Michael Flynn has taken this group of players, the intensity that they have to the game, it's no surprise that they find themselves 8 in Division 2, certainly looking up rather than down. It's been a fantastic season, and what a position they find themselves in at this moment in time in the 4th round of the FA Cup.
Well, Spurs haven't lost in the FA Cup to a team from the 4th tier or lower since 1915, when they were beaten by Norwich City, who in those days were a non-league side. They won 14 of the last 15 FA Cup ties against lower league opposition. There's plenty of time left in this one, but they've got to improve. They trail here against the side in League 2 by a goal to nil. And you can't say it's an undeserved lead. Wilmot brings it forward now, he's okay. Poor defensive touch, Hammond! Vorm at the near post, got his angles right, puts it behind for a corner. Could have been 2.
It could have been 2. Wilmot fires a cross in. Dyer gets it horribly wrong at the near post. It pops off of his shin. It pops out to Hammond. He fires it in back at the near post. Vorm smothers it at that near post to concede a corner. The only question that you'd ask is, can Newport keep this intensity? Because at this point in the game, they've been absolutely fantastic.
Just over 3 to the break. Can Newport get a second goal before half-time? In comes the corner. Toes at the target. It's headed away from him. Brought down on the edge of the penalty area by Demetriou. High hanging cross in the centre half towards the far post. 2 Newport players attack it. The loose ball breaks for Wilmot. Right-footed ball back in from him. Vorm comes out. His handling assured. And Michael Flynn, the Newport manager, in his dark blue pullover and matching trousers, just exhales, looks at his coaching staff behind him. Wayne Hatswell is number 2, knows that was another presentable opportunity for County, who lead with Ammon's goal. The ball goes out to the Spurs left. Walker-Peters back for Wanyama. Wanyama will play it forward. Crunching challenge comes in from Tozer. Labadie back for Pipe. His ball forward is brought under control by Vertonghen. Vertonghen out towards Walker-Peters, who on the left-hand touchline has been able to keep it in. Can Spurs get themselves level before the break? He's trying to get the better of Ben White. Can't get the ball in. Walker-Peters going down a blind alley now. A David Pipe-shaped blind alley. The referee says that there was an infringement, and it's a free kick, which will be taken on the Spurs left. Only a couple of feet in from the left-hand touchline, and Trippier will go across to take it. Just moves the ball back to where assistant referee Harry Leonard stipulates. Now Llorente is forward. Hardly seen him at all. Dyer is in there. Kane on the edge of the 6-yard box. 6 in there in total. Swung in. It's headed away well by Labadie, and then volley by Ammon, the goal scorer, just into Tottenham territory. Foyt, the last man back, brings it under control. Nubel has put him under immediate pressure. Laid it out towards Kieran Trippier, who'd shuffled across to the Tottenham left just to give the young Argentine a passing option, and Newport will be able to get it forward. Vertonghen. Little shove from Nubel. Free kick, which will be taken by Spurs on the left-hand side of their own penalty area. It's Newport County 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. A massive game, a massive story developing before our eyes at the moment, but still a long way to go with about 90 seconds of the first half remaining. Kane, seen very little of it, but he pirouetted very neatly in the midfield until he was stopped straight away in his tracks there by Scott Bennett. A young Cornishman who made his name with Exeter. Out it goes towards the right-hand touchline. And an opportunity again for Wilmot. Left-footed ball clipped in from him. The off-balance Dyer can poke it away and Vertonghen will clear.
Young Carl Walker Peters has had a torrid 10 minutes. Wilmot's got the ball too often. He's had time and space to deliver, and none more so than the ball he played in for the opening goal for Armand to head in at the back post.
Demetriou. Just past pipe and out of play towards the right-hand side. The offside flag is up. It's one of those confusing ones where the flag comes up against the player who's actually received the ball in his own half, but after that change of the law about 18 months ago, the flag was up correctly seemingly, and he has come back from an offside position to be involved with the play. The free kick therefore can be taken in the Newport half of the field as we go into 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half.
Big 2 minutes, Jim, unlike Yeovil last night, who really acquitted themselves well for 40 minutes against Manchester United and conceded right on the stroke of half-time. Great opportunity for this Newport County team to go in, really buoyed by their first half performance, and more importantly with a lead.
Wanyama lays it back for Jan Vertonghen. Vertonghen to Foyt, to his right-hand side is Trippier. Trippier in front of Mike Flynn, the Newport manager, his 50th game in charge of the club today, just directing proceedings, pointing here, there and everywhere. Here's Wanyama.
Just having a sly look at his watch as well, Jim, just trying to speed it up to get to half-time.
Yeah, more than a slight look. And the ball back inside his own half with Vertonghen. Out to Walker Peters. Sums up his last 10 or 11 minutes, unfortunately, because just as he was bringing the ball under control on the touch, I was looking up to see where his next pass was, and he couldn't get it under control. It's rolled between his feet and out for a throw, which will be taken on the Newport right. Bang level with our commentary position here, David Pipe, as he prepares to take it about 15 yards inside his own half. And he hurls it down the touchline. It's helped on, but that flick has gone out of play for a Tottenham throw, which will be taken over on the far side by Jan Vertonghen.
Well, the locals are going to go away for their cup of tea at half-time, and they're going to be absolutely buzzing downstairs, Jim. The atmosphere is electric. It's crackling here.
Spurs in possession, but it's awkward possession with Foyt. Volleyed then away by Eric Dyer into the Newport fans over on the far touchline. The newest of the stands here at Rodney Parade. It's actually the second oldest sports venue in the Football League. They've been playing sport for more than 140 years here. And it's no exaggeration to say that they won't have seen too many days like this in those 140 years in terms of the magnitude of the victory that might be achieved, with Newport at half-time leading Tottenham Hotspur by a goal to nil. A standing ovation as the players leave the field, and rightly so. Newport County have been brilliant. Clearly only half done this particular job, but Spurs, 5th in the Premier League, haven't been at it since the first whistle. Newport County, on the other hand, have. They've been brilliant, could have scored very early, did score late in the half with Podrick Ammon's header, and at half-time, it's Newport County 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0.
Yeah, and what an atmosphere and what a game, but not what a match. It takes two teams for a match. At the moment, there's only one team in it. That's the game there at Rodney Parade, part of a whole cornucopia of matches we're bringing you here on Talk Sport this weekend. Don't forget, as soon as we finish this game here on Matchday Live, we go straight to Anfield for the next FA Cup tie between Liverpool and West Bromwich Albion. Then tomorrow in Sunday exclusive from 1 o'clock, you can hear Chelsea against Newcastle United, a 1:30 kickoff, and Cardiff City against Manchester City. That's the 4 o'clock kickoff there, down there in South Wales. Well, given what we've seen in the last 45 minutes, I bet there's been a lot of toing and froing with our friends at Betfair. Let's hear all the latest odds from them now.